Today's grants and funding committee members and Metro Art staff are joining by conference call. In a moment, we will call roll of all members present. This meeting will be recorded and posted within 2 business days to the Metro Nashville YouTube channel. All votes will be made by roll call. When speaking, identify yourself by name. All action items voted on at today's meeting will be reconfirmed at the next in-person meeting of the committee, whenever that in-person meeting is going to be. All right, now I encourage all participants on the call to stay muted unless speaking. If you're having any technical difficulties, let us know and we'll call the meeting to order. So let's give a roll call for each commissioner that's here. Mary Ann Bird.
Present.
Ani Dow.
Present.
And Mattia Powell, Commissioner Powell.
Present.
And I believe that's it. So this meeting is officially called to order. And I need to, of course, again, call for the motion that this meeting is necessary, essential business of this body, and meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, the safety, and welfare of Tennesseans considering the COVID-19 outbreak, and is permitted under the governor's executive order. So I need someone to propose that motion forward.
Mary Ann Bird, so move.
Any seconds?
This is Bonnie.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Dow. All right. So I move that Commissioner Busey, I move that the meeting is going to take place. So let me, I lost my placer. Hold on, I'm so sorry.
Right, we just need to vote on the motion.
I need a roll call vote. I'm so sorry. I'm here. Okay, let's vote on this motion. Chairman Byrd, or excuse me, Commissioner Byrd.
Thank you for the promotion. Yes.
And Commissioner Dow.
Yes, I vote yes.
Commissioner Powell.
Yes.
And myself, Commissioner Busey, votes yes as well. I think I'm going to move on. We need approval of the minutes. We're going on to that. I'm having trouble reading my little scripts here. I'm so sorry. All right. Metro Legal has given the Arts Commission and committees the go-ahead to start approving minutes again. We have a little bit of a backlog, so staff will be sending the past minutes for 2020. After this meeting, please review the minutes for any changes or questions you have. At the next meeting, the committee will approve them all. So I think we're ready to start the action. Do I need to get approval of the minutes, Grace, or we can go on to action items, right?
Oh, no, you're all good. Since there's kind of a backlog, we just wanted to give y'all a heads up. We'll try to give you, at least a month to review all of them.
Thank you, Grace. Okay, I will now pass the meeting to Janine and Marissa for the presentation on proposed Thrive Cycle 2 funding awards.
Great, thanks everybody. Yeah, we had a great Cycle 2 panel. Lots of praise, deserved praise goes to Marissa for just really streamlining the process for the panelists, for the applicants. It's great. We're loving Submittable. So very good stuff. And yeah, with that, let's go to the next slide and just kind of touch on the overview of Thrive. You're probably familiar, but so Thrive is a funding program designed to build, strengthen, and cultivate communities in Nashville, Davidson County by supporting artist-led projects that encourage artistic and cultural experiences, community investment, and neighborhood transformation. So basically, we look at this as a like an artist-driven community development fund. That's what, so, and both are valued, and reflected in our scoring criteria. Okay, next slide, please. In our lines up with our mission and theory of change for that equitable and vibrant community. So lots of cultural, lots of cultural participation is our goal, and also equity. Equitable distribution of funds to artists who've not been previously historically funded by Metro Arts and also kind of the greater arts field. And then this year, we of course have our COVID-19 safety measures are required and part of the feasibility criteria. If they were sort of just, mildly, lightly touched on, panelists seemed to drill in on that. It was very good. You'll see a lot of Metro departments and also kind of grant and Metro Arts grantees listed as community partners, but we have but we've looked at all the budgets and they will not be paid by Thrive Funds, so no double dipping. The funds are primarily used for direct artist payments and also materials for the project. But if anyone would like to see those budgets, please see Marissa. And I think with that, I'm going to hand the rest of the Thrive presentation to Marissa. So take it away, Marissa.
Thanks, Janine. We can go to the next slide, Grace. So we have completed our community panel review process for the Cycle 2 Thrive funding projects. We had a pretty competitive pool this round, and so we actually had 2 community panels. That's why you see 2 colors here on this chart. We had a blue and a green panel. Both used an identical scoring rubric, and then we standardized their scores, and based on their scores have arrived at the rankings that you see here. And given the amount of funds we had left, we have 6 projects to propose to you today, and we'll go over these each in detail in just a moment. But just wanted to show you the list here. We've got the titles of the projects and the recommended allocations, and then their ranks based on their standardized score after that process. So we'll go over each of them in detail. We can go to the next slide. So the first project is titled Andrew, A Boy Called Hare, and the Edgehill Polar Bears use their superpowers to solve their community's problems, creating a viable and equitable community. So the applicant and partners here are Agnes Scott and Sarah Krogman. The proposed community partners are the Metropolitan Development and Housing Agency, Progressive Missionary Baptist Church, and Jefferson Street Sound Museum Management. We can go to the next slide. And so this project will be a community engaged collaborative graphic novel project. Basically, the artist will write the beginning of the novel and develop it, and then the Edgehill community will be asked to write the ending, submitting different ideas through a community-driven selection process. And the story of the novel will be about restoring their community beyond its pre-coronavirus state. It includes main characters Andrew, who has superpowers and works with the Edgehill Polar Bears, and it will serve as a catalyst to spur collaborative efforts across Nashville. And their proposed award amount is $9,500. And I believe that they will be producing some of the graphic novel printed and then also be distributing it virtually. We can go to the next slide. The next project is called 7, a contemporary exploration of fatness and blackness. It's presented by Jennifer Whitcomb-Oliva. Proposed community partners are Fashion is for Everybody, Kindling Arts Festival, and Abrasive Media. We can go to the next slide. So this will be an interdisciplinary performance film project. It confronts the intersection of blackness and fatness through the lens of the 7 deadly sins and the 7 heavenly virtues. And it explores themes including mental health, sexual health, and spirituality that uniquely relate to Black women and female identifying community members. This is going to include poetry, contemporary choreography, and film and theatrical segments. The proposed award amount is $9,500. Great. And so the next project is titled the Madison Seed Library. This is the one public art project that we have recommended for funding based on the panelist scores. This project is from Cybele Elena, Ellen Schlabach, and Miriam Spire. Miriam and Cybele were both involved in the Madison on My Mind project, and you can see some photographs of them at Madison on My Mind there on the right. The proposed community partners are Nashville Public Library Madison Branch, the Nashville Food Project, and Trap Garden. We'll go to the next slide. So this will be to create a seed library for the Madison Library. For those who aren't familiar, a seed library is a cabinet that holds seeds, and it works just like books at the library. You can check seeds out and then you can bring seeds in. Many libraries across the Nashville system have this. The Madison Library doesn't currently, and so this funding would help bring that to their location. The project, and so to be clear, Metro Arts isn't funding the seeds. We're funding the cabinet that would house the seeds. And so this project would include an artfully painted, color-coded cabinet that would house the seeds. It also would include three-dimensional vibrant signage and a hand-illustrated educational booklet that will be available in both English and Spanish. And it will be a permanent installation at the Madison Branch Library, so they will be responsible for maintenance and removal should they ever choose to remove it. And their proposed award amount is $9,500. We can go to the next slide. And so again, yeah, it'll be at the Nashville Public Library, Madison Branch. They'll be responsible for their maintenance. And there's some additional work samples from the artists here. Go to the next slide. So the next project is Notes for Notes, the podcast. This is presented by Ashley Kearns at Notes for Notes and Will Flores, the lead artist. And they'll be partnering with Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee. We'll go to the next slide. So this project will result in a podcast about music. Listeners will tune in to hear a young musician's perspective on the music industry, creative process, and the role that music plays in our lives. It will celebrate a diverse range of music tastes, opinions, and experiences from both accomplished and up-and-coming artists, producers, industry professionals, and Notes for Notes members. And their proposed award amount is $8,550. Go to the next slide. The next project is called Power of Voice. It's presented by Cameron Mitchell, who's the project lead and lead artist, and will be working with Southern Word as the community partner. We'll go to the next slide. So Power of Voice will be a spoken word showcase that will be held at the Witness Walls of Nashville. It's a public art piece that you may be familiar with. And they do have permission from the artists to hold their spoken word performance in front of Witness Walls. And it will highlight different areas of Nashville and individuals of different ethnicities, genders, and ages about spoken word as an art form, its influence within their communities. And their proposed award amount is $7,890. Go to the next slide. And then finally, we have the JFRIS online music program at Bellevue Community Center and Metro Parks Music. This is presented by Jamal Dotson, who goes by JFRIS for his performance name. And proposed community partners is Bellevue Community Center and Metro Parks Music. We'll go to the next slide. And this will be an online music video program. So he will be producing music instruction videos that will be presented to Metro Parks Music Department and the Bellevue Community Center. The videos will be about piano and vocal performance, and the people who watch the videos will be able to either use instruments at home or have access to instruments at Metro Parks building, such as pianos and keyboards. They'll be taking COVID precautions in offering those, and the proposed award amount is $4,110. We'll go to the next slide. And so we would request the Grants and Funding Committee to approve the fiscal year 21 Thrive Cycle 2 allocations, and I will send it back to Sherry.
Thank you, Marissa. Thank you, Janine. These are all interesting projects, and I know I'm supposed to be unbiased, but they all sound wonderful. So are there any questions or discussions about the presentation of the proposed projects from commissioners? I don't think it's really necessary to raise your hand if you want to just speak out with any questions that you may have.
One question I have, this is Mary Ann Bird, is given that there were two panels reviewing the proposals, do you feel comfortable that knowing that they're all using the same criteria, that they were equally critical or equally accepting of the projects, and that there's no bias one direction or the other between the two panels?
Yes, so, oh, sorry, go ahead, Janine. Were you talking? Sorry, I had some feedback. I thought Janine was jumping in. Yes, so having observed both the panels and having overseen the training of both, they did use the identical scoring criteria. They, in my view, were applying them, pretty much the same. I would say that both panels were equally discerning in how they were thinking about the scoring criteria. And we did review their scores after they all came in just to see, sometimes we might see one panelist who's much more generous than another or something, and that gives us concern. We did not see that even when putting the panels side by side. Everything, was pretty standardized. Seems that they applied the scoring criteria pretty similarly. And then we did standardize their scores to determine the ranking. So we feel pretty good that it's been applied evenly.
I have a quick question as well. So I saw, we didn't see the list of folks that didn't get funded. How many people applied this round, and how many people, did not get funded this round?
Yes, so I believe we had 19 who applied. So it was very competitive this round. And we made the choice to, Grace, I don't know if you can go back to that slide with the list. We made the choice to fund as many as we could at 100% or, at least 80%. There it is. Thank you. Because many of the projects we do ask the question, could you still implement this project without being funded fully? And many of them indicated that they just could not do that. And so we opted to fund fewer projects at a higher amount than give everybody not enough to do their work. But yes, there were 19 and they were all very good.
I have a couple of questions. These are somewhat technical. Do we know the number of expected participants in these projects? Are we talking 5 people? Are we talking 50 people? I know each project will vary on the amount of participants, but do you have an idea about how many people are going to be benefiting from these funds?
Yes, we do ask that question as part of the application process. I don't think that we pulled it for the slides, but I can absolutely get that to you for each project.
That would be great. You don't, obviously, we don't have to do it now, but I'm just curious.
We
And
can
then-
share by the commission meeting. We'll have that. I took a note, so we'll share it then.
And that was something that panelists considered in their scoring, was kind of like the bang for the buck, right? Like how many people will be influenced by the dollar spent.
That's good. That's a good thing to consider. And then I have a technical question about the seed cabinet. I'm intrigued by this whole idea. I think it's wonderful, but for the seed library, seed cabinet, is this a huge dimensional thing? I mean, how big of a cabinet do you need for seeds? I don't really know. Is this going to be really prominent when you walk in the library? Do we know the placement of it, the size of it?
So I think that that's something that they're working out with the library, and they're waiting to see like how much funding they get, and as they're developing the project. I know that in the past, libraries have used old card catalogs for this.
Oh,
So if that helps you envision kind of what it would look like, when they talked to me about it, they were thinking like maybe an old like wardrobe or something with lots of cool little drawers. So if that gives you some context, I think they're going to finalize that with the library if they are funded.
thank you, Marissa. And of course, that is not any consideration on whether we are going to vote to approve this or not. I was just kind of curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you girls are always answering these questions so thoroughly. I'm so very impressed and thankful. Commissioners, are there any other questions that you may have? I think we can move forward with a motion. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm ready to move forward with the vote, but I wondered, is that maybe I've tried to keep up with all the emails, but do we have is a full list of like applicants on the Google Drive?
We will, so for the commission meeting, I'll make sure to put in the total number of applicants, the list of applicants. We actually did have that first, and then I said, oh, I think we should just do it was my call, so to kind of shorten the meeting, but we'll put that back in for the commission meeting, and can email that to the Grants and Funding Committee prior. to look at.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make a big deal about it. Just in
No.
case anybody, if somebody comes up or asks us, not that we would get, I don't get a lot of questions or anything, but I think it's good for us to know who didn't get funded and who got funded, just in case there's ever any questions about
No,
it.
absolutely. So, yeah, we'll note that for the grants and funding kind of side, we'll flush that out just because you should know. And also, I mean, there were so many good projects, there were tons of good projects, and it was really hard. So just to know that we actually had a lot more requested, obviously, as usual, than we could fund, and all of that is always good to know. And of course, the details of who was not funded, and we can give that little breakdown. So we'll work on that, Marissa, for you all and for the commission.
Thank you, Janine. Any other questions or discussions for the staff? We are, all right, then I propose that we try to move this forward. So I'm looking for someone to propose a motion to that effect.
This is Mattia. I make a motion that we approve the staff requests grants and funding committee, approve the FY21 Thrive Cycle 2 allocations.
Thank you. Do I have a second? This
is Bonnie, I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Dowd. Let's take a roll call on this one. Mary Ann Bird, what say you?
Yes.
Commissioner Dow?
Yes.
Commissioner Powell?
Yes.
And Commissioner Busey says yes as well. That's awesome. Okay, then I think I need to turn it over to, do we have the next steps? Oh yeah, on our 18th, on our March 18th meeting, the announcement will be sent for March 19th if approved. So that's all good. So we're ready for action item number 2. And I will turn it over to Janine and Marissa for their presentation. Thank you, ladies.
Great. Yeah. So the next items on this for the rest of the agenda for the rest of the meeting, not really like action items, but just like some discussion and also just like planning and logistics. So we're just going to give you a brief update on where the FY22 grant application cycle is right now, and then hopefully get 2 to 3 of you to sign up for to be the commissioner on these virtual panels. So next slide, Grace. So here is the update of where we are. We had 56 total applicants, so 22 core, 34 basic. 6 of those did not complete the full application. This is about the number we were expecting, by the way, between 55 and 60. We thought, maybe some new people did apply. We did follow up yesterday with those 6 that did not complete, considering that it's a new process, considering everyone is still dealing with all of the virtual and pandemic related challenges. We spoke to Caroline and Ian, and they approved the extension over the weekend. So those 6 are allowed to, to submit, using this new system by Monday. We've already heard from at least one that they're choosing not to, just for kind of internal strategic reasons, kind of just restarting this year and all of that. So that's fine. But we did reach out to all to make sure everyone had the opportunity to apply. So this is the requested amount, over $5 million. As you know, our kind of standard grant budget is around $2.4 million. And then that gets verified with council and the mayor with their budgets later in the spring. But it's been pretty flat at about 2.4 for funding. So again, about half of the requests, even with cutting the projects, will still not be able to meet. We're thinking we're still going to be in around 50%. And so some initial thoughts about this year's process, brand new application, new platform. The 2-step process was very helpful for staff to plan ahead. This, again, cannot tell you how smooth this has all been with streamlining and planning and logistics. So that was definitely great to have. The coaching was also, planning for the coaching went very well, really smooth. Probably could use more time for the coaching. It was a very intense week of coaching those folks that wanted draft reviews, but we still did it. And yeah, we are always noting the improvements for next year, for next year's guidelines, next year's application. And then, yeah, and just thinking about doing the, just building in more time for coaching, and then so possibly moving up the pre-application, but still having the deadline fall at a normal time, at the normal expected time, which is around, mid-March. So that's where we're at right now. And so next slide, Grace. So this year, we only have 2 panels to organize. Basic is not getting reviewed by panel this year. It is just re-verification. So that's all internal staff, making sure that things are relatively similar to last year. They keep their basic organizations, keep their scores and ranks, but we will have panels for core. So if everyone can just check their schedules now and see what your availability is around May, that first week of May, we're looking for 1 commissioner to sign up for the Tuesday, May 4th panel, and 1 commissioner to sign up for the May 6th. And if available, 1 commissioner to serve as a backup for May 7th, if we do that panel. We're not sure yet, but we'll kind of see how it all works out. And we might do that 3rd one. Yeah, so yeah, I'll just pause now. Anyone ready to do it?
So I can do, Janine, I can do Tuesday.
Great. Excellent. Thank you so much, Commissioner Dow.
And Janine, do you just need 1 commissioner for each review, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there anybody who can do Thursday?
I probably can. Hold on, let me check real quick. Thursday, May 6th.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can do Thursday, May 6th.
that's great. And Janine, I'm keeping Bonnie's up for Tuesday, May 4th, should something arise.
Thank you. That's great. It's good to have. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Would anyone like to be the backup in case we have the Friday, May 7th panel?
I can do that.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Byrd. Okay, excellent. That was easy peasy. Okay, great. Moving right along.
Janine, we didn't have
Yes.
anybody do we have any of the basic grant folks that didn't get everybody got their stuff in on time, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mostly so what we're hearing from was that, yeah, a couple of the smaller organizations, I think, might be taking pauses right now or refiguring things out. But we are emailing them and letting them know, like, even if you're not applying, please think of us still as a resource, and we'll support you during your transition time and redevelopment and all of that. So, yeah, because it's, we love our small organizations and understand the challenges for sure. But yeah, all the basics got in. So
Yeah, I think there was just 1 basic that didn't, and it was a staff turnover communication that they quickly found and corrected when we reached out. So it's all good.
yeah, we're so really glad we were able to find them.
Awesome. Any other further discussion on? There's no action, but number 2, any other concerns, thoughts? We're good. I think we'll move on to the next item. Once again, Janine and Mike, your show.
Okay. So we are going to just go over the eligibility. There's a little feedback. Is it me or is it? I don't know. Anyways, pardon if it's me. I'm sorry. So we're going to go over the eligibility for leadership music. They are an organization that had applied and received CARES funding, but again, those guidelines were the scope of that funding was a little broader. So they had an initial meeting with Marissa to talk about eligibility, talk about applying, and she had some questions. She had questions about their eligibility. Brought that back to Caroline, myself, and Ian to review together, and we did. So I'll just go over who they are and then what we thought, and then we'll invite you all to discuss and comment. So can we have the next slide? So as I went over, they requested when staff suggested, we don't believe this is eligible, they did request an official review of their eligibility, which is why we're bringing it to you all. They did not turn in an application. They were invited to. We said that, you are absolutely welcome to apply for, to submit an application, and we will make the final determination of your eligibility on the March 12th meeting. So they did not apply. But it's, we still said we would bring it up. This might affect them in the future, and it also affects just sort of, it affects, just our criteria for eligibility. So definitely, wanted to move through with that. Okay, so next slide. So this is their mission. Their mission is to cultivate a forward-thinking community of leaders who impact the creative industry. Next slide. And they do that by selecting 45 candidates to participate in regular meetings and retreats over an 8-month period. So basically, this is a leadership program for about 45 music industry professionals. Some of them are from the commercial music industry, some of them are from the nonprofit, but it is a closed program of the 45 annually. And the primary program is these meetings and, leadership development seminars, et cetera. They do have some music programming, but it is mostly internal for those 45 candidates. So it's not live streamed out, it's not public, which is where we were, which staff was considering. Okay, next slide. So this is our eligibility that's in the guidelines. And so just want to highlight that the second sentence, which is what we focused on as staff. So an arts-focused organization is one whose primary mission is to directly support the performance, exhibition, or instruction of art. And so when staff was looking at their programming, we couldn't find that they directly supported that. Primarily supported that either through their mission or their practices. So, their main mission is to cultivate these leaders, and their programming also is reflective of that. So through seminars, meetings, lectures, primarily. So next slide. And so basically, I'm just saying that this is currently the staff opinion of that they are not eligible. Because they do not support the direct performance and instruction and exhibition of art. And I do want to bring up, as a that they brought up, figuring out the eligibility of an organization like Arts and Business Council, which for many years was not eligible. And so last year we made the determination that they were eligible because they had brought up that they have a fairly robust fiscal sponsorship program that directly funds the performance, instruction, and exhibition of art for, I think, I'm not sure the number, but it's several small arts collectives or individual artists. So that is why that Arts and Business Council is now eligible. It is one of their primary functions, and one of the, if you look at their, their budgets, their programming on their website, it's featured. So as everything that they do. So that's where staff is right now. And so I'll toss it back to Sherry to lead any discussion or to ask for any comments from the rest of the committee. But yeah, they, just to remind, they did not apply this year.
Thank you, Janine. Do we have any discussions or any questions concerning it? Mary Ann, Commissioner Bird?
You answered most of my questions about the organization. So this is basically like Leadership Nashville or Leadership Williamson County or whatever. And their purpose is to develop their own leadership from within their own organization. And then those people go out and not associated with their program they are employed or are creative artists themselves. Is that correct?
I guess they're a mix. Go ahead, Marissa. You talk to them directly, so feel free to chime in on those details.
Yeah, so my understanding is it is almost an identical model to Leadership Nashville, but it's for the music industry. And so it's to develop leaders within the music industry.
Yeah, so this is Bonnie, and I have a lot of experience with Leadership Nashville, and I know people who've been through Leadership Music, and it is in fact the same model. And so I think that the opinion that you've come up with here, that they're not eligible because they don't support the direct creation, exhibition, et cetera, of art, is right on the nose. I'm completely supportive.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. Thank you.
I agree with Bonnie, with Mary, and I'm in 100% support of what your determination is, Tia.
Thank you, commissioners. And I am in agreement too, because I honestly didn't have a whole lot of experience with that. So I really appreciate your views on all of this, commissioners, to kind of open my eyes a little wider. So thank you. Thank you. Any more discussions? Perfect. So then we are tossing it back to Janine for, we got some stuff on REAL and the NEA grant.
So, yeah, I guess that slide got deleted, but I'll just update you all. I think we just got notice, Marissa and I, they've processed our they've announced it, but there's a lot of just background review in their internal system. So I think we have access now to begin the actual grants process, although we won't get funded for many months. For this, for the NEA grant, that's going to support the, the redevelopment and relaunch of REAL, Racial Equity and Arts Leadership program. And it's really exciting. I'm meeting regularly with staff at the Vanderbilt Curb Center, Wilna, and a new postdoc. And I think Wilna is also hiring a graduate assistant, probably won't start till the summer, to work on REAL. Right now, we're in our we did a preliminary survey of alumni, and now we're following up with interviews of folks and just getting their feedback on the previous program, where they would like to see REAL, what gaps that there were in REAL, if they are interested in applying to be part of the new cohort, which will be, we're thinking it will be, quite different, building off of REAL, but, different enough that they could get something out of it. But also, if they're not interested in that very intensive time commitment, how would you like to participate as an alumni, of leaders, very committed to building racial and cultural equity within the arts ecosystem. So it's really exciting stuff. I just wanted to let you know that the funding is moving forward and give you that update, because it's actually, money that's coming in, which is exciting always. And a program that people are really excited about relaunching. So that's about it. Any questions though about REAL and our work with CURB or anything right now? We're still working on the curriculum, but we are we're thinking about we're adding in a lot of new articles and speakers that we've worked with, that we've met through our different networks, such as AFTA and DIAL, the Diversity and Arts Leadership internship that we partner with AFTA with. So there's lots of there's lots of really great inputs that we're adding to this program.
Do you think, Janine, that there will be more news on this front at our commission meeting next week? Will you have any more information about this?
We'll see. If I get more information, I'll certainly share it. And I think we will. We've included the information in the board brief, so I was a little on the fence of whether or not to bring it up in the meeting. But we'll see if there's anything exciting. I think maybe a slide, just a slide to tell you it's exciting stuff. So
yeah, no worries. Thank you, Janine. Any other questions by any commissioners? That's great. You girls are great. Well, then it's time to set up our next meeting. I don't know when, Janine, Marissa, when do we need another meeting?
Oh, we're gonna give that to
Oh,
Grace
we
to
go.
coordinate.
That's good.
Janine is more than welcome to facilitate, but we do have some upcoming action items in April. As you know, we are moving into our busy season, which may at this point just be the entire year. But if y'all have preference or availability for any of these dates, we can go ahead and set the meeting, or I'm happy to send a survey. I most likely will need to follow up with our other commissioners anyways, but we can go ahead and narrow it down if y'all have preferences or inavailabilities.
I don't have any problems with any of these dates as long as it's more towards the afternoon hours. But I'm still flexible, so that's my only takeaway is that I think I'd have to have something like around the 1:30 time slot.
So this is Bonnie. Thursday the 1st works really well for me.
Okay.
And Friday the 9th would be okay too. Thursday the 8th I can't do. Wednesday the 7th I probably could do, but it's not ideal.
All right. Thank you for that. Mattia, Marianne?
Thursday the 1st, Wednesday the 7th, and Thursday the 8th work for me. My nephew's getting married the weekend of the 9th, and I'm participating.
Yay!
So yes,
Congratulations.
so it's sounding like the 1st may be our option. Who hasn't chimed in yet?
I can do the 1st. This is Mattia. And I feel like I was trying to check my calendar. Sorry, I know I have some that I think didn't make it to my calendar, so I gotta find that. But I definitely think the 1st is the best day for me.
And this is Commissioner Busey again, and I do believe that the 1st would also work well for me. And I take that back. I think the morning, any time between 10 and 3 will work for me on Thursday the 1st.
Fantastic. Well, I will check in with our other commissioners. Oh, sorry. Was somebody saying something? Oh, it's the ghost in the machine. Fantastic. Well, let's tentatively plan on April 1st. I promise not to pull any pranks. And I will check in with our other commissioners to see if there is a good time frame. But Commissioner Busey, I will tend towards the afternoon if possible.
Not real important, just whatever we can all agree upon. I'll be able to make it work, is what I'm trying to say.
Fantastic, thank you. Well, I think that wraps up this.
Yeah, this was a good meeting. I love it. That completes the business of this meeting. We are all wrapped up, and I can go ahead and call for adjournment. I don't need to have a vote on this. Is that right, Grace?
That is correct.
So ladies, we are officially adjourned. I thank you for your time and your energy and all your input, and we'll see you next week, Thursday.
Thanks, Sherry. Everybody have a good weekend.
Thank you, everyone.